Right after I
They
said
did.
that, on Wednesday, yeah. I'd
Yeah,
never been
that,
asked on Wednesday,
I've
did
had
I?
to show
How
it.
about that?
I've never had that. Good morning to everyone. It's Friday, October 25th, 2013. It's now about 9:07 a.m. I'd like to call the final day of the Tennessee Board of Examiners for Land Surveyors meeting to order. We have several items remaining on the agenda. I don't know that we necessarily have to function with them in any specific order. I would like to continue our discussion on the Colonial States issue until our next meeting in January, as we're accumulating further information so that all members will be able to understand exactly what the fee for the Colonial States is and exactly everything that they do and provide. We do have a scheduled appointment with a applicant at 9:30, so we'll conduct as much business up until that time so that we're prompt with our appointment. And then do that, and then we'll conclude. Okay, tell you what, let's go ahead and do the review of the application form. You should have it on your iPad. We're still in the process of trying to massage this particular application to get it in tune with the CBT system and also get it updated so that our applicants, it's a little more clear and concise to them. I'll let Donna speak to the changes and so forth that she's made.
Well, I put an instruction sheet on here that explains, I hope, about the CBT and what it costs, the application fee, and they have to apply to us first, you know, so we can review their application. I can't see. And then, you know, it's just instructions, general information that they need. And on the application form itself, I've made some changes on it, but I've been thinking about some more changes I wanted, because I need to add some stuff and probably take away some stuff. And I thought about that after I did this, so.
One correction on the instructions. I think, Donna, that the examination fees will actually be paid at the exam site, I believe.
Well,
I remember when they were talking about that at the CBT meeting.
okay, I put, under fees, is that what you're talking
Yes,
about?
ma'am.
Our application fee is $25, correct?
Mm-hmm.
To us. And then it says exam fees are paid to NCAAS from registering on the NCAAS website. Done.
Actually, you don't pay when you register, you actually pay when you go to the examination.
Oh, you
center.
don't have to pay first?
No,
Oh, okay.
No, what they do is they observe the approval from the appropriate board, and once they have that approval, then they allow the candidate to register. And then once the candidate is registered, there's still no money changed hands until they
get
actually
there.
show up. When
So,
they
but-
get their appointment and they actually show up at the Pearson View Testing Center, that's when they pay their fee.
Okay, okay.
And
I thought they had to pay it online to NCAAS first.
currently, to my recollection, the fee's $250. But I don't think we should mention that because that could vary from time to time with NCAAS.
Okay.
Donna, under the fees, the application fee, $25, the next line, make checks, plural? Is that implying that there's,
No, no, there's just one payment. That's just a typo on my part.
Last line in step 2 up there, I think it should say a list of test center locations are available on the NCAA.
Oh, it says is, I'm sorry.
Well, list is.
List, yeah.
List is
List
available.
I think
Is that right?
Have it correct.
Okay,
The list is available,
okay.
unless you want to say the list are available.
A
That's
list
East
of
Tennessee
test center
language.
locations
Or the list is,
available, are available.
The list of
Okay.
locations,
Yeah.
but the list is what you're
Okay,
talking about.
okay.
The list is available.
Well, like I say, you know me, my East Tennessee English. We just learned to read road signs last year.
Oh, did you?
Golly. We were okay with the ones with the words, it was, the pictures, it was the ones that they added words to.
Yes, sir.
under scheduling information, I need to fix that too, don't I?
They actually register with NCAAS, which is correct. And part of the process, I would actually eliminate that. All NCAAS does effectively is continue the approval process, which allows them to be able to take the examination. So, once we tell NCAAS it's okay, the applicant registers with NCAAS, and then at that point, it is entirely upon the applicant to continue from there.
All right, when you say that, when we notify, do I notify NCAAS they've been approved, or do I notify the candidate and they register with NCAAS, and then?
You do both. We should be, if I remember correctly, right now in the system that we're in, it's on.
Not gonna record properly.
We should be in our current system notifying both.
Oh, no, see, I don't notify both until I approve them on the NCAAS website when they've registered.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But
Well,
I know
however that system works.
I notify the applicant and I tell
Uh-huh.
them, they've been approved to take the exam, they need
Okay.
to register with the NCAAS and all that, and they go register, and I don't approve them until they paid all their fees and everything, and then I approve
Okay.
them.
Well, as long as it works, I mean, it's one way or the other.
Okay.
Because I've heard it discussed both ways in the meetings. So as long as that system is working for you and it's functional, that's fine.
Okay.
Hey, can I make a suggestion back on step 1, back on the first page, step 1?
Yep.
I think, under step 1, I think the paragraph would flow easier. I think the paragraph would flow easier if the second sentence was first.
Okay, yeah, I hear you.
And then also down in step 2, on the second to last line, that begins with the exam at the earliest available opportunity at I think it should say testing location of their choice, but I think the word says as, I believe it should be at.
Hang on just one second.
I'm with you. Step 2, second to last line begins with the exam at the earliest available opportunity at a location. And I believe it should say at a testing location of their choice.
Oh, this should be at, okay.
I believe it should say at a testing location, just to clarify.
And back up in the second line of that particular step, Donna, I think we should also eliminate to pay the exam fee and schedule the exam.
I agree.
That would be consistent with the other change that we just made a minute ago.
That's right, because the exam fee's at the testing location, not, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, that, because this
Absolutely right.
implies that
Yes,
you're paying the
yes.
fee when you
Yeah.
register, but you really don't.
All right, let me ask you this. Did I put something on here that says the exam, you'll pay the exam fee at the testing center? The exam fee will be paid at the testing center or something?
That could be, yes, that could be in the process. Which that could happen in step 2 prior to the last sentence. Would that be in order, Jay?
Sir? I'm sorry, what was the question?
About mentioning the, where the exam fee's paid?
Yes.
After we said, you know, at the earliest opportunity, at a testing location of their choice, or we could add it at the very end even.
I think the very last sentence would be better.
Okay, yeah,
It
it would
tends to
be.
stand out a little bit better.
Right.
And I don't think it would be out of line to underline it or put it in italics, one or the
Sure,
other, because
sure,
that would be
yeah.
a definite.
I mean, that tells the candidate, don't send it to Donna, take it with you when you go to the.
I think that needs to be very
testing
clear.
center.
Well, it is in the NCAAS paperwork, I know that. But for our purposes, up front, notifying them how the process
Yes.
works.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be good to put that there.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we get these changes, Donna, and we can do a final approval on it in our January meeting. Because we need to have it up to speed, because they'll be able to apply.
Yeah.
Much quicker. One thing we also did, Jay, relative to this application, was we removed the requirement for references. FS only. Because what we were getting was Johnny or Susie is a good student, my only familiarity. Because a lot of them just didn't have any work experience to say, you know, I work for Galen Northcutt, and Galen sends in and says, well, he's a good kid, bad kid, you know, don't license him, whatever. You
Okay,
know,
but
we
still
weren't getting
required,
that.
still required for the other.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have no problem with that.
Now, I guess from a correctness situation, are the questions that we ask them, are they still correct in today's world? I mean, I know our statute says an individual must speak and understand English, but I'm just in general, are those questions still okay? Because I know when I interview an applicant for a job, there's only certain things that I can ask him. I can't ask him
Well,
everything.
this one I wonder about, do you have a disability which may require special accommodations? Since they have to contact NCAAS about that, we should still know about it though, shouldn't we? Or should we?
I don't know that we need that information, because in the process that NCAAS has, since we're only speaking to the FS, they have that included. I know we had one examinee, a couple exams ago, that had to have an individual read the exam, I think it was too.
I think so.
But it was special approved, and Peter had to make special accommodations for that individual, but it was pre-approved by NCAAS
Right.
and so forth.
And he was taking more than one part of the exam.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he was taking the last. That one off?
I would think so.
What do you think, Robert?
And
NCAAS is not asking us for it.
And on item G, would it be appropriate to say, have you ever filed an application with this board or any other board?
I don't know if it's relevant.
Well, with the mobility that is now created with the FS examination,
We could say, have you ever taken the FS exam before?
Okay.
Want to know, isn't it?
Why would the land surveyor board need to know if they've tried to take it in another place? What,
well,
what,
the mobility of the CBT is that once you are approved to take the examination, you can take it anywhere.
I know that, but
Yeah.
what relevance would it have to the approval process? I mean, even if they had gone and taken it 20 times in Florida, you're reviewing their application for requirements here to approve their exam here or anywhere, and then they can move forward. I mean, the fact that they've taken it and failed it before isn't relevant to the application process, I don't think.
Well, what I'm concerned about is there is a flaw that's been discussed in their system that some states are allowing NCAAS to simply approve the FS to be taking the test. In other words, if you want to take the test, just come take the test, okay? So if you applied, let's just say you applied in Kentucky, and Kentucky yielded to NCAAS to let you take the examination, but your ultimate goal is to be licensed in Tennessee.
Well, I was thinking you'd want to know. Because if Tennessee does limit the number that you're allowed to take it before you have to appear, when they took it in another jurisdiction, we don't know about it unless we asked them. We don't even know if they took it here. I mean, that's the only thing I'm thinking. Some states will say you can only take it 3 times before you have to appear before the board. And if you can take it anywhere, the only way we know that they took it somewhere else is if we asked them.
Well, and see, that's part of the equation too, is in our discussions today, is finalizing that scenario about the number of times that we allow somebody to take it.
If they did take it 10 times somewhere else, we
This
wouldn't
is-
know it.
This is an instruction sheet, not an application. So they aren't, I mean, this particular page,
They're on the application now.
This is an application.
okay.
Yes, there's some mechanism where NCAAS can tell us without us asking how many times they've taken it.
Well,
I think y'all leave that in there.
Well, at least the part about.
I
have
wasn't
you
gonna
ever
strike it,
taken
I was just gonna see if we want to add anything to it.
Oh, well, from that
Yeah.
standpoint, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I think it's relevant.
For those jurisdictions that limit how many times you take it before you go up and explain why you haven't passed it yet. Some jurisdictions probably don't, they just let you keep taking it, I guess, but I don't think we do, or potentially we won't. For CBT, you had to come here, right?
Right, that's correct.
Now we won't know unless somebody tells us.
Yeah, I also question I and J. Because I could apply, because it says, have you ever been disciplined by a state licensing authority? You could have had unlicensed practice.
That's grounds for denial.
Right. But J, it says, have you ever been denied registration or had a license suspended or revoked? They don't even have a license.
I'll take that one out.
Would that be okay?
I think I kind of takes care of that, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I say, I could still apply because of unlicensed practice. I don't think J,
Unless you just want to say, have you ever been denied registration and leave out suspended or revoked?
but if they're at the registration level, they're beyond this examination.
Yeah.
That was my argument there.
I'll just take the whole thing out,
I think so.
I think.
You-
Unless you're one of
Yeah,
those
I
people
think-
that's been trying for 15 years to
Yeah.
get registered and haven't been successful yet.
I don't have any problem with taking that one out.
Okay, now, are we going to, the next part on the education, are we going to make a part of this application the course form?
I think so.
I think we should. I think we should, because that seems to be a headache. It seems like it's kind of missed or overlooked, and we have to go back and ask for that.
Just make it part of the,
Yes,
part of the application now.
right. See, that'll go in the instructions, and we need to, and on the educational record, it needs to say that, that on the attached form, instead of saying on a separate sheet attached. Yeah, you've got list on separate sheet attached, but would it be just as applicable to say on the attached form? Because that's what we're trying to accomplish, I
You're
think.
providing them the form.
Yeah, we're going to provide the form. I want to provide them the complete thing so
Yep.
that if they fail to fill it out, but they had the opportunity because they had the complete document, that's one issue. But if they don't fill it out because we didn't provide it, that's something else.
Because it's on the thing with it.
Clearly how that's gonna read.
And you made that change in the instructions?
Yeah. I'm gonna make that.
On the instructions, Donna, under transcripts, I think that would be a good place to place what we just talked about. It says official transcripts are required for all educational credit claimed, and then speak to, if you're, utilizing category B or C, the form should also be included. Okay. It's now 9:30 and we have a scheduled appointment. So if we can suspend where we're at the moment, and we'll come back to that.
Okay, this is Stephen Conti, and he submitted an application for the board to review on July 15th. We got the application in the board office on July 15th, 2013. His application was reviewed by the board at the August 1st and 2nd, 2013 board meeting and was denied due to the fact that he does not have 2 years progressive experience beyond passing the FS exam. Mr. Conti took and passed the fundamentals of surveying exam on April the 14th, 2012. He requested in writing a meeting with the Board of Examiners to discuss his denied application.
Okay. Thank you for coming, Mr. Conti.
I couldn't find anywhere, my boss and I, after got my denial email. We couldn't find anywhere where it says that the 2 years experience has to be beyond passing the fundamentals exam. I just couldn't find anything that said that. I was just kind of wanting to. Surveyors have taken both their PS and FS in the same weekend. They wouldn't have 2 years of experience beyond the fundamentals if they did that.
Have his application on?
I do.
And actually, before I decided to do land surveying as a career when I was in college, my advisor suggested I call the board to discuss anything about it. I worked during the summer under a licensed surveyor while in college. Would that count for the 2 years? And I believe I spoke to Ms. Donna. That was several years ago, 2007.
In the criteria, under 18109, it basically establishes a timeline or path for becoming licensed. And in that path, you've obviously met the educational requirements. It says that an 8-hour exam at that time, which that's now being changed, but FS has to be passed. And then it says submits evidence that such person obtained a total of 2 years of progressive experience on surveying projects working under supervision of a surveyor. It has been it is the current interpretation of this board that 2 years is post FS. That's the way that your application was reviewed on that basis. The environment that we're currently in, the scenario that you described relative to an individual taking more than one part of the examination at one time, particularly the combination of the FS and the PS, will no longer exist because of the FS examination going to a computer-based exam. Having the necessity to pass before you go forward. So the examination structure is changing. Obviously, that's not what you came to talk about particularly, but it is a changing environment. Your situation is that your application can be carried forward to our January meeting, and you will, what experience you've had and what you'll have. I assume you're still working currently. That would put you available to take the examination in April, which unfortunately that's the shoes you wear today because the examination is going on this very minute.
I took my fundamentals of April of 2012. I know that the experience has to be completed and not anticipated. I was thinking maybe October. Based on having the 2 years beyond,
yes.
Fundamentals, October would be my next date.
Yes.
So I qualify for for the April exam if I apply.
Well, in looking, and the other members need to look at it also. What I re-reviewed briefly, that you did have a fair amount of experience prior to also, and the board has the ability to look at that and basically give you credit for that too. Key is we're trying our best to maintain that structured timeline. And in the past, we may or may not have done that in the very best or most efficient way. But we're trying now to make sure that we kind of follow that flow that that particular statute directs us to do.
Or is it gonna be computerized?
It probably will not be computerized for 2015.
Chairman, I don't see where the statute or the rules say that the 2 years after the fundamentals exam. Was this the board has used?
What we used when we reviewed the last applications, yes.
It's not set in statute or the rules that it has to be that way.
Right, yeah, it doesn't say it must or shall or any of those terms. That's correct.
There is discretion. It could be obtained because it says experience, not practice, which is where we got.
Right, yes.
So they
Yes.
could get an experience before the
And what I was
fundamentals
saying, based
exam.
on what I saw and what the gentleman has presented to us, I was not seeing an issue with him being able to take the examination. Other members need to review that, and then we can discuss it further from there.
Work for Craig Barron. Okay.
Do y'all have copies of the law, the current law?
I
Because
have,
if you don't, I'm gonna make you copies
I
of
don't,
it.
I don't have mine with me.
Do you want me to go make you a
I
copy?
loaned it to an examinee.
Oh, okay. Let me run it and make y'all copies of it right quick. Okay, so you need a copy. Be right back.
As long as they have a policy reason.
Okay, everybody having having reviewed Mr. Conti's file, is there a motion?
Well, based on what the law says, as far as not stating specifically that it has to be after passing the exam and seeing that he has aggregate of 26 months. Of course, we get into a different animal when we talk practice, so I would tend to think that, okay, he's met the spirit of the law from that standpoint. Whether we interpret it differently from this day.
Well, chapter 1 of our rules deals with applications, and I think we haven't, that's the last chapter we haven't done, and we can address it at that time. But currently, there is no legal authority that says you have to wait. Required to have 2 years of experience under supervision of a licensed surveyor. Excessive experience. And that's up to your interpretation.
Powder puff, that's what he is. My motion then would be to accept the experience as been.
Have a motion and a second.
Make sure the little light lights up in the second motion.
I'll second that.
There you go.
Did it light up when I gave it?
I thought it.
Well, we can restate it if you want, just to make sure it's on the record.
I make the motion that after having reviewed the total number of months of experience exceeds the 24 months required of experience, and that he be allowed to take the next portion of the exam.
I'll second that again.
Okay. You're getting a double dip this morning.
Seconded 3 times now.
Right. Yeah, we've got plenty of seconds going on here. All right, is there any further discussion? Okay, if not, I'll call for the question. All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Mr. Conti, first of all, I'd like to thank you very much for taking your time to come and visit the board. It demonstrates also to the board that you have a concern for your profession and your future livelihood, and we certainly appreciate that very much, and we want to compliment you on doing that. This board tries to do things in an expeditious and correct manner at all times, and sometimes we do stub our toe. And we apologize if this may have caused you any inconvenience whatsoever, but we look forward to you taking the examination in April, and we certainly wish you the most success.
I appreciate you guys allowing me to come meet with you. I have to reapply,
No, sir.
so I'll just,
Contact Donna and get the instructions on the exam procedure, but automated as possible for you. For
Basically, what
processing.
we'll do is we'll put your application back into the January approval process so that it makes sure that it is approved, and she will notify you appropriately so that you'll be able to register with NCAAS and so forth, so that you get the proper credentials and so on in order to be able to take the examination. Thank you very much, sir.
have a good weekend.
You too, sir.
Sound system on the 6th floor, I know they had problems with, and there was a whole meeting where you couldn't hear anything. And I don't think that's a problem with this room. I think this room's fine, but just try to speak up when you can. We don't want people to get on the website and see a bunch of, silent movie stuff.
I'm thinking,
Yeah. It
Okay,
happens.
we will wait on Donna to return. I think we have one application to review. And then we also have another matter of another denied application that needs to be discussed. So we will wait on her so she can present that. Let's go back to our application review and see if there's anything else while she's coming back down. If there's anything else anybody sees that we need to tweak or modify on that application.
It begins on page 42 on your iPads if you want to review request and recommendation along with the documents.
appear as well? I don't think so. Okay.
Bob, do we have an issue on the nomenclature in the picture when it says no head covering? Because we have certain people that have religious convictions that have head coverings. Now, I understand no cap or hat, I understand that, because caps and hats are normally not associated with a religious scenario.
I think that would be sort of handled on a case by case. I think the intention is just like you said.
Right. Well, Sue wished it said there wasn't no wife beater shirts too, but she don't like those very good either.
Good haircut.
Yeah.
Certainly if somebody's religious convictions require them to wear a head dress, and we would let them do that. That's probably pretty much, they'll wear it most of the time, and that's the way they'll appear in the field.
Requirements such as that could be considered, if it were
I just want to make sure we
were restricted, yeah.
yeah, we're politically correct,
It would be considered a violation of their Title VI rights, so I would recommend that not be included.
Oh, is that right? Well, so much for that signal.
You're welcome.
Hey, Ms. Donna, while you were gone, or had you left before we voted?
I had left before you voted.
Yeah, she
Okay.
wasn't here for the vote.
We voted to allow Mr. Conte to take the April examination. We repeated several times.
Six did?
Here, pass that down to Ms. Donna, please.
Take it in April.
Yes. And what I indicated to the gentleman was that his application would be basically in the package of the applications in January, so that you would be able to process it and give him the normal information that he would normally get. We will not be asking him for an additional application fee or anything.
No, okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. Waited on you to return for the purpose of our next applicant conference, which I think is all by letter or email.
Is that the,
Justin Parrish?
the only
Okay.
thing on this, well, here, let me read this to you. Y'all just wanted to see a course reporting form. He's got a Bachelor of Science degree in Agriculture, Engineering, Technology, and Business with a minor in land surveying from Mississippi State University, received April 30th, 2011. He's applying under TCA, and this is my opinion, he's applying under TCA 18109B. That's what I think. I mean, y'all may think different, but,
Are we speaking about James Powers?
yeah, is he A or B?
Powers or Parish?
No, it's
Justin Parrish.
Parrish,
Parrish.
Justin Parrish.
Parish.
We did
I don't
Powers
have any
yesterday.
information.
Jumped out of
Huh.
it.
Oh, that's on the,
On here.
oh, Lord.
Yeah, he submitted his application in August and he turned it, he applied, I think he originally applied under category A. And y'all wanted to see a course reporting form? And I put B on there. I don't know if that's a typo, if that's what I put, I don't remember. But,
His application shows that he applied under A.
yeah, he applied under A.
Yep.
So he's got to take it past the FS before being acknowledged as PLSIT. And his application was reviewed and denied on 8/1/2013 based on the fact that the application was incomplete. Does not have course form to indicate courses by category. Completed course reporting form was received in the board office on 8/23/2013. He has not requested to retake the exam at this time, but he'll probably do the FS thing computer-based, because, you know. It's my opinion that the applicant qualifies under TCA 62-18109A. However, I request that the board review the completed course reporting form to be sure that he does indeed qualify under A, and he has enough of the course hours if he qualifies under B. That's all wrong right there, but that was my intent.
Okay, so under the original application, he did not have the course form
Right.
indicating his course. So the application
And
was incomplete,
He
and so
was
it was
told,
denied.
and he was told by me that he didn't need the reporting form if he was applying under category A, because that's surveying.
Sure.
So that's why he didn't send it in. But then y'all requested to see it, so. I have his hard copy of his application if y'all need to see it.
So I guess the first thing we need to determine is he applying under A or
Or
B?
B, right.
That's the first thing.
His degree is
Said agricultural engineering,
yeah.
Technology.
so
business
that
with
would
a
be
mi-
category B in my mind.
Yeah, it says major concentration land surveying
Yeah.
Says
on his
he-
transcripts.
And according to category B, it says he must have a minimum of 18 hours equivalent to courses shown in list 1.
Got off his application that he had a minor, but his transcripts say his major.
degree. I don't know that Mississippi State offers a surveying degree.
Well, it's agriculture technology and.
Right.
But and it says major concentration, it's land survey.
Survey.
So I don't know, that's why I'm questioning.
Yeah.
I don't know which, you know. Under category A.
Major concentration. Yeah, okay, so it's from the College of Agriculture. His degree is in agricultural engineering
Yeah.
with a concentration in surveying. So it is not a surveying four-year
See,
degree.
that's what I wasn't sure about.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't know if it was A or B.
So if he qualified, if he was applying under A, he did not qualify because he did not have the surveying degree. Now, he could apply under B because he has a concentration if he's got the hours.
And that's why I
which
wanted
is-
y'all to check for the hours. 'cause
Okay,
I wasn't
all
sure.
right, all right. And his application showed that he was going under A, in which he did not qualify because he did not have the four-year degree specifically in surveying.
Yeah,
Am I correct on that?
Yes,
Anybody?
sir.
Okay, I just want to
Yes,
make sure I
sir.
got that clear.
He's got a B application, he needs 24 more hours of education.
But
They
the
have
key to the B part, we have two keys here. One is he's either A or B. We determine that. Second thing is, if he is B, then he has to have 18 hours in list one. So that's what I'm in the process of trying to determine.
Okay.
And when I notified him that his application had been denied, we all assumed it was under A, so we didn't say. You know, because all it says is the application is incomplete, it's not a course form.
Well, as best I understand it, either way, if his application here shows A, if that's a copy of the application, I see A checked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
With his name on it, then he
Yeah.
did not qualify, so it was reason for denial right there.
right.
Now, if we review it
That's
as
correct.
B, then we need to do what Tim's doing right here and make sure he's got, of the hours he has, that those are qualifying
He
hours.
didn't want to have another 24 hours.
So I don't think that's in question, the denial. I think the denial was justified.
I do too.
Now the question is, okay, if under B, is he qualified? Well, let me ask you a question. If he's to be considered for B, which is what we're kind of reviewing right now, does he need to make a separate application with the category B checked? Because we don't have it. I mean, we're kind of doing him a favor, I think. The way I view it, we're doing him a favor right now to see that, hey, you know what, under B, you would qualify. How about,
Technically, he
Submit us an
doesn't, he
application that
doesn't
says you're
qualify
Well,
under A.
the only thing he's
He
got to
should've-
check A is this right here. Yeah.
But if he applies
It
under-
says A. I mean, there's no doubt.
Yeah, you could deny technically because it's the wrong category. If he needs to reapply under B, if he does, then he's going to have an additional 24 semester hours,
Right, yep. And
which
he's
probably
got-
is what he wants
Only
to
applying
avoid.
For the FS.
Procedurally, you should get a letter saying your application's denied, and then probably, however, you do qualify.
Well, where
under
we
B.
sit today, being in October, if we send him any form of letter, whatever, describing whatever our decision may be, then he would have ample amount of time to properly reapply for consideration at our January meeting. Or is he asking for his application to be approved right now?
Based on what we told him, you know, which is
Mm-hmm.
the information I had to tell him, and he sent that in.
Can't approve it under A.
I think we can.
But I think that, you know, if he potentially has the B, I think the right thing to do is not delay the process
Do
and
the
just,
due-
I
do
agree.
the
I mean,
due
we could,
diligence.
whatever recommendation you want to make, but you could make a recommendation that included him revising page 2 or what,
Page or something.
yeah.
That's what, I think we should just go ahead.
But
and
a 4-month
see if it falls under B.
I agree.
delay just to look
Yeah,
at
we
it
need to determine
again.
that first. First thing we need to determine A or B. And then, once we've determined that, then we'll go to that rules
Take
for
course of
that
action
road.
after that, yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
Legally,
Right.
if you find he doesn't qualify under A, you deny under A.
Yeah, wait a second, I'm gonna put
Qualify under B
on here what
either,
I
but-
think these courses
But you
fall
can do
under.
due diligence
He
and see
can,
if
yeah.
it does.
I agree with that because I don't
Things
like it.
aggravating.
A favor, if he's under B, let's get him to B.
I like a piece of
It's not like you guys meet every 15 days or something. So,
Yeah, I was about to dig that out, thank you.
It's the only one I have, so.
Got another copy, I think. If you want this one.
Got a copy over there too, right?
Yeah, I don't think our list here includes Mississippi State courses. If he's got a concentration in
must
surveying,
have, yeah.
then they got a few, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's up to us now to see if,
I started counting them up and I thought, I don't know.
Right. But some students work right through it and take.
Right there's what I'm seeing right now. General criteria that's in the list, along with level of course. That's, I use this page.
yeah.
All right, so now we're looking at, 15 hours. Level 2 is 1. Level 3s is 15 hours. So 15, 9, and 15 hours.
It'll sink
Category
the
what?
same way. It'll sink them
One?
all at the same time.
Come on now.
It has 15.
Yes.
Source.
And then those are extra.
Like I say, there's no magic
All
about
here. It's not part of the
my
handout.
determination whatsoever.
So.
That's why we all look at it.
He did include the syllabus to a few of those, so we can kind of review the syllabus there on, yeah, there's one of them.
Okay.
They only need
On
me to
CE
have-
2213 is class.
Basic surveying.
And let's look at his list here. Where does he have that one?
Here's the most.
Okay, so that's his surveying class right there.
Yeah, I made that a
And you're looking
two.
category 2 for basic surveying?
Because see right here,
Yep.
This
Similar
most-
to surveying measurement fundamentals
Right.
/ principles, yep.
yeah, and then the syllabus justifies that. Plus,
Yep.
it also says here that these courses of one need to be 3,000 and above.
It hadn't changed in a while. Well, but I know what you're saying.
Like, for instance, would that be the 300 number you're looking for on the 4323?
Well, but it's,
And every, other boards have this.
got a cartography 3 up here, which we could, if we make that one, that puts.
Does that not suggest to you it's an upper level class?
Yes.
The 300?
Yes.
Why? Cartography being on level 1, it's
Yeah.
hard to say that's not
That's what I say,
level
that's why I
1.
wanna look at this.
I'd
There's
suggest
no magic about.
I suggest we give him the benefit of the doubt there on that one.
Sure.
That's hard to
And that
argue.
gets him over the hump, because he's got plenty of other hours.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so if that's
He
changed
just
to
needs one.
a 1,
Yes.
does that?
As a category B,
He does have a syllabus on 4233, which we're saying is a category 1. We need to look that one over. Control surveys.
All right, hold on, let's see. 4233, here we go.
Yeah, it's state plane, GPS, and so forth there on it, Jay.
Courthouse PLS. Okay, I'm good with that. Yeah, definitely on that one.
That's why I wanted to go through it, because I
Okay.
knew it was close. I knew it was close.
Yeah.
Do we all concur with that then?
Yeah,
so.
Sue
I
has
think he's got the hours.
Yeah.
I think based on that, that it looks like he could qualify under B.
Okay.
And I think benefit of the doubt there,
Okay.
even though his application has checked A, I think we should give him the benefit of the doubt and saying, maybe not A, but B, it looks like you're good to go.
Yeah. So I think what we're saying, Donna, is, and we can make motions whatever we need to, but I think what we're saying is, we recognize his application as a Category B application. We have reviewed his education, and his education meets the criteria for the 24 hours that's required by Category B.
Okay, and I have a question. You, read me off which courses you approved and which, how they, how they fell?
We marked them right on the sheet.
Well, for the minutes.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Go ahead, Mr.
all right,
Have to do everything in the sunshine.
you want
Even
all,
though you're delivering.
all of the courses or just the ones that we're showing as category 1?
Once he needs an addition to his degree.
The 24 hours.
Definitely the category 1s,
Okay.
and then pick up a couple.
All right, looks like the course number, let's see, CE 4233, controlled survey. CE 4243, land surveys.
4243, you say?
4243, that's correct. The next one is ABE 4990, capstone surveying. GR 4323, cartographic sciences.
What was that?
Cartographic sciences. One is GR 4303, principles of GIS. And ABE 4990, AutoCAD for geomatic application.
Okay.
As far as the rest of them, that gives him the 18 hours that we were looking at as far as under category A. The rest of them are already listed, and he has those already listed on here and meets that requirement for the rest.
So he has a total of 24.
Yes. The main concern was the category 1 courses, that whether you had enough hours in those, and based on what we are seeing here, giving the credit for the one that we had concerned with cartographic, we
Okay,
get
let me
credit
ask you
for that.
this, see what y'all think. Would it be okay to add the category 1s from that to the list, to update the list?
Certainly.
I don't see
Yeah,
why not.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it should be, just for future reference. Yeah, because I don't see any that are on the list that we have from Mississippi State,
Yeah.
so that would be definitely a benefit.
Is there anything else?
Not yet.
Okay, having made those determinations, I assume that we need to have a motion to vote on what determinations we made. Normally, we would have just approved this under the normal application process, so I don't understand.
I make a recommendation then.
Yes, sir.
I recommend that your motion be that application under category A is denied. However, upon review, application is accepted under category B for these reasons. Just to make it clear that the application is presented when he checked A is denied. But you can, just to address the fact that he did apply under A and we're not accepting that.
All right, I'll go ahead and make a motion that the applicant, Mr. Justin Parrish, who originally applied under category A, his application is denied under category A. However, under review by the board here and his educational record, we feel that he does qualify under category B and would make a motion to approve his application under category B. Yes, sir. I'll use it since you had it there.
I second that motion.
Well, I know, I was just hanging
Long
out
pause there, wasn't it? All right, we have a motion and a
Building up the
second.
tension.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion carries. Okay, Ms. Donna, the next thing on our agenda, I guess, is one more application, question
That's
from
all.
James Powers.
No, we did that yesterday.
Okay, all right, we're good with him then, okay. Okay, I thought we had, but I wanted to make sure. I did not want to miss anybody. Okay. All right, we've reviewed that and that. Okay, I show that we have 3 items remaining on the agenda. One item is to determine our CBT structure of quantifying the number of exams that a approved individual may take before they have to come back to the board. I recall NCWS was going to use a 12-month window, probably goes with that application, a 12-month window for approval period, allowing an applicant to take the exam up to 3 times. So, if we're comfortable with that, or we want to do something different, because we have to notify NCWS if we do something different.
So if I understand you correctly, it's your understanding that NCES allows 3 times over a 12-month window
Yes.
from the date of their original application, is that correct?
From the date of the first examination.
Date of the first examination, I'm fine with that. And that's the NCWS standard?
So in other words, if this gentleman we just approved
Yes.
would be eligible January the 2nd to take the examination.
Yes.
I've been told we can't do this by policy. It has to be in the rules.
You're talking about how many times you can let them take it before they apply? What was the question, I guess?
Okay.
I was-
Let's start over. Since we're going into a new environment
Right.
of CBT for the FS, NCWS must be notified if this board wants to do the examining process any different than what they have established in their CBT policy. And it's my understanding that in the CBT policy, that the or the examinee, let me say the right thing, the examinee will be allowed to take the examination up to three times in a 12-month window, which 12-month window is triggered by the date that the examinee takes the first examination.
This is akin to what we were talking about earlier, about how many times. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so we're going to craft the rule. Eventually, we're going to have to insert that into Chapter 1 of our rules.
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead, continue.
Okay.
So we're just having a discussion about that, is that right?
Yeah.
I guess we're just discussing.
We're starting on our next rulemaking
discussion.
project.
I guess the most important thing about it is that if we need to be aware of what the roadmap that the examinee is going to be going on. And right now, that's a 12-month window and 3 failures. Before NCEES would be seeking recertification for that examinee to continue. In other words, that would fall back in our lap. So if, for example, if the gentleman we just approved for the January exam was able to take the exam on January the 2nd, he would have to January the 1st of the following year to pass his examination. That would be his window.
2 more times. He takes the exam 1 time.
Right, and then you'd have 2 more
2
times.
more times
Right.
to pass it.
And he has no, and the examinee has no obligation to take the exam at the earliest opportune time. He can pick and choose whatever window he wants to use. For example, if he was a college student, he said, well, maybe I want to, well, not that's not right. Or maybe he was working on his master's or something. Maybe I need to finish my master's before I start taking tests, you know. So he might wait till July, for example, if that's an open month to take the test. Well, that triggers his 12 months then.
All right, now, if he took it in July, then he would have.
Let me ask a question here as far as the calendar and the timing goes. When the applicant puts in the application, he's approved to take the examination. How long is that valid for? How long is the window now open for him to take an exam?
The window is open until he takes the exam.
2 years, 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, if he
See,
doesn't
that's,
take
Taking
it,
it yet?
see,
4
we,
years,
we,
5 years, 10,
we're on new ground. We're plowing new ground here,
Okay.
so,
So we're not sure yet, is what you're saying?
right, we're not sure.
Okay,
That's
but
exactly right.
once he sits for that first examination, click goes the stopwatch.
Right,
And according to NCES, we believe he can, once that stopwatch starts, he may take that exam a total of 3 times in 1 calendar year, beginning at the time the stopwatch starts.
right.
Okay.
And then if he has failed it 3 times, they should, if I understand it correctly, they should notify us or notify Donna and say, you know, this person is out of his
Window
approved
closed.
period.
Window closed, he's got to come back
Got to come back to
and
us,
reapply. Okay.
if I understand it correctly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, my suggestion right now would be, because the waters are somewhat cloudy, that we stick with the policy that NCES has for now and not stir up those waters. It would be my suggestion.
Well, and, you know, as with other obstacles that CBT will encounter in the next year,
And there will be some.
I think you're 100% right, that we need to just kind of ride that storm until everybody kind of gets a feel, because they're going to make changes along the way too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and we need to get a feel for the water.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Right.
Well, I have to agree with Jay. The only major concern I have is that how long will this remain valid? And frankly, I wish that the cut off. In other words, if he makes application and we give him the authority to start January the 1st to take the exam, whatever he wants to do, but he has until January the 1st of the following year, and my 1 year to complete failing the exam 3 times or what have you, rather than to continue on. But the window, based on what NCEES says, it's 1 year from the time he takes that first exam.
With no
but-
stipulation on when no window on taking that
But
first exam.
my opinion is, and I'm just giving you the Northcote opinion on this thing, I don't think that we ought to let this thing hang open more than a year. He needs to start taking his exam within 1 calendar year of being approved.
Well, and as Rob eloquently said earlier, we have a problem because we're plowing new ground, we don't have anything to address it. The only thing in our statute that addresses number of examination is 62-18-111, and that's a third examination, and it speaks to applicants for registration, which in my mind means we're at the TS level then.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're TS, we're not at the FS level, so we don't
have the
we don't
authority
have
to
any
do that.
real criteria as the statute is written right now to change anything else. And since we have agreed by contract with NCAAS up to this point on how they handle the FS, I think we have to stay with what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
But I think we have to be attentive enough to see what is going on in case something does come along that we may need to deal with.
I have a question. I'm probably wrong. B, address any applicant?
Which B? Oh, okay, B. Okay, let's see. Any applicant who fails such examination twice shall not be admitted to another examination. Well,
That wasn't a problem when they had to apply through the board every time.
Right.
But now they can take the test without us knowing it. So
Right.
that's why we have to have a rule
right,
in Chapter 1
that's correct.
commanding them to notify us of taking it twice. Because under NCAAS's policy, they can take it 3 times.
Well, see, that's why
In
that
a
we
year.
wanted to maintain the ability to approve the applicant for examination.
Well, we need to put it in 0820-01-.03, which is the examination rule. Put something, and that'll be our next project a year from now when it's implemented.
It's already going.
But we do need to address that, because now it's sort of out of our, I wouldn't say out of our control, but
Right.
people can have plausible deniability and take it 3 times. I passed it, but you took it more than twice without appearing here, and I mean, the statute says you can only take it twice, but we don't really have an implementation yet, so start thinking about how we want that rule to look.
And that's part of the cleanup, you know. A few of those,
Spare
a few of these
time,
things.
take a
you
look
got-
at Chapter 1.
Did we ever hear about the legislative package about cleaning a few of these things up that?
They took the package. Some of the stuff, apparently there's a new legislative scheme up there. Whenever you're simply repealing something without any further amendment to it, it goes to a separate office of the repealer, which is what they call, instead of going for,
Yeah.
well, apparently it's supposed to it sounds,
Yeah. Man,
draconian.
doesn't it?
But apparently, to streamline the legislative process, instead of having the whole legislature debate it, it goes to the governor's office of the repealer, they redact it and put it in some other separate governor's package. But as far as I know, that's still moving forward, because we're taking the 10-year practice thing out and some other stuff. They didn't take the staggered renewal for probably reasons the assistant commissioner told you, financial reasons. As far as I know, everything else went, because we've got to change the statute that says you got to take a 8-hour exam, which is no longer applicable because it's not 8 hours anymore. If I recall, because I've slept since then, I just struck 8 hours out and left written exam, because as long as it's on the computer, as long as it's not an oral exam, it's still written, even if it's in a different medium.
Okay.
All went on.
So I think from a discussionary standpoint, we're going to stand pat and go with what NCAAS is doing and monitor the process and progress of that.
Yeah, I think that's all we can do.
Yeah.
Now, in the interim, we've got to figure out how we're going to enforce our statute that says they can only take it twice before. I don't know if that means we have to ask NCAAS how many times they took it. I don't know if they're going to tell us how many times they took
Well,
it.
I'll tell you what I know about this, which is not much. But when they go on NCAAS to register, it's supposed to track how many times they take it.
Do they tell us on a Tell us
Well, no,
automatically.
but we can
or-
go in and, I guess, and click on their name and see how many times they've taken that particular exam. And I'll tell you the date, like, I think they listed like 13/10, that'd be October 13.
It's gonna take some diligence on our part.
Yeah.
Well, I think from what I understand from the CBT discussions, they are gonna notify the member board.
After they've
That an
met their
that
limit.
an individual, you know, has failed to pass the examination on 3 tries, which they could do that in 3 separate windows.
Yeah.
The first 3 windows or any set of windows in that 12-month time from the first time that they take.
It's the only issue with regards to the statute is that third time. If they are allowed to take it 3 times and they pass,
Yeah,
they fail the first 2 and pass on the third one, and it hadn't reapplied to the board.
They're in violation if they do that.
Technically, it's just that third.
The
Having to
statute.
come before us
But-
after 2 times.
but
Right.
again, the FS examination is not for registration. It's part of the process. The statute I referred to says applicants for registration, which in my mind is taking the TS examination, not the FS examination. Now, I may be looking at it in a very narrow sense, but the word registration, in my mind, changes the definition of that particular section.
It doesn't really specify. I could see how the board would interpret it that way. Because it is applicants for registration in paragraph A, so it would imply that it's a PS exam. On the other hand, I still think we need to modify the rules to address both.
I think
Certainly, I agree with that.
Maybe even all three of
Yeah,
them.
yeah, I certainly agree with that.
I do
Because
too.
you see, we're getting ready to be in a changing environment with the PS also.
Correct.
I recommend that on 111, that that be proposed for revision, because if it's not crystal clear, the licensees and applicants won't know. So any statute that is not crystal clear on how it's being implemented probably needs revision.
Well, that's the chapter we're going to next.
I think I don't know if
The
we can
statute.
assume, but there's
But it's in chapter 18.
there's at least an average chance that NCAAS's scheme for the PS will be the same 3 times for the FS, so maybe we can get, if not ahead of it, at least even with it if we start rulemaking now.
Else, we'll just mention that while we're here. If I'm correct, am I correct in saying that, Rob, that chapter 18 will be our next hurdle to tackle?
You're thinking of chapter 18 in the statutes. Chapter 1 in our rules is the meetings, applications, examinations, and in our examinations rule, it specifically speaks about NCAAS, even though our statute says an 8-hour exam approved by the board.
Chapter 1 then, okay. I want to make sure I get the right chapter.
Chapter 18 statute, chapter 1 rule.
That'll be the next one we work on, and we'll start working on that in January.
Start working on it before if you want to make a copy and start redlining it.
Yeah,
And
certainly.
when we get back together in
Correct.
January, we can.
I was going to encourage that we do that.
All proposal, we can send that to TAPS before too long. Let
A
them
lot of
weigh
that
in.
was original language from 1969, so
Mhm.
so it's some of that is some of the oldest language that we have. And not to say it's incorrect, but I think we just need to review it and look at it and discuss it. And another public hearing 2 years from now, something like that, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So that's where we stand on that. We have one more item on our agenda. And that item is discussionary, I guess, at this point in time, because the public hearings we had yesterday, Rob, you described the process the other day for us. So realistically speaking, if everything went according to Hull, those would become law or whatever, probably in January, if everything
Oh,
went
Lord,
according to
no.
Hull. I mean, I know you don't know, But
It'll
I'm
be-
talking about the normal timeline, if everything, and I know it doesn't work that way.
I expect I can get them through the Attorney General's office probably by the end of the year, certainly. Maybe by the end of November. And then after that, they have to be filed for 90 days, which is 3 months before
Okay.
they're effective. So that's the spring.
Yeah, that's March.
If everything goes pretty quickly.
In a perfect world, and we don't live in that
Yeah.
place.
So hopefully by at least late spring, they'll be effective. That's what I would like.
Well, the item that's on the agenda then, I think that what I would like to do, if it's all right with the members, is just let everybody kind of think about that. The item is discuss structure for standards of practice and ethics seminars, which is part of what we discussed in the rulemaking and the continuing education. So, and that being because the way the rulemaking stated, basically it's up to us to decide that structure.
Right.
So we just, best thing I think to do is we just need to kind of think about that.
Well, yeah, I think so, but also that, there is, model already structured in adjoining states that have had this requirement for some time, and I think that would be a very valuable reference to have from any of the adjoining states in the area that have that requirement already. A couple of them come to mind, but certainly as a base to the model that we could review and modify, but I think the base structure's already been there. There's no sense reinventing the wheel
Right,
there.
right.
If we can use other structures. So I think reference is already out there, and we need to certainly be aware and
Think of a couple of states off the top of your head so
Kentucky
that
and
Donna can
Georgia.
collect that.
certainly Mississippi and Alabama both.
Kentucky and Georgia. It's a pretty popular thing now.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Sure that those documents are prepared for the next meeting and they're collected.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything else that they would like to discuss? I think we've covered all the items on the agenda. The only remaining item is determination of PDHs for the meeting. By my arithmetic, I'm at 10. So whatever the board's pleasure.
Form of a motion, is that what we need?
Yes, sir.
All right. I would make a motion for a credit of 10 PDHs for the hours served over the last 3 days.
This probably doesn't affect Sue, but
Second it.
What?
She
I second
seconds it.
She seconds it. Okay, good.
There you go.
So you get yours then.
Right. All right, I'll call for a question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. If there's no further business, then this meeting will be adjourned.
For a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Have a motion for adjournment, please.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
This is down to the
Who gets
exam
to do the
site.
second for that? Usually you get to second the adjournment, if not the.
Jay's taking over my place.
I made the motion. I made the motion to adjourn now.
He's seconding
he's a
and
seconding
everything.
machine, isn't he, Sue?
Isn't he?
We gotta get stuff done around here.
Decided you're a seconding machine, Jay.
I
I'll
thought